All right, what's up, everybody? I'm Dave Gates. Welcome to the Solo Musician Podcast. This is Season 2, Episode 1, first episode with video. And today I'm actually here with Erick Moyer.
How you doing, guys?
And we're just going to kind of chop it up and talk about a million things, man. I'm very interested in finding out about you because I've been hearing a lot about you. I've been seeing you all over my Facebook feed and kind of from friends that are like, oh, Erick's playing here tonight, Erick's playing there. I look at your place, you're playing like a lot of local places. So, through a little bit of digging, I checked out your Facebook page and saw that you, the Facebook page was established in September of last year.
Yes.
But now, how long have you been playing, though? Have you been playing for a while, or?
I've been playing since April.
Really?
So I'm like fresh out the package, you know. I'm not brand new toy.
Oh. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Now you're playing a lot of the Madre and Flinchies and those kind of places. Mm-hmm. So these like restaurants and stuff. We have a gigantic plethora of places to play around here. Do you have any that you're like is your favorite right now in our area, or?
Actually, the two that are my favorite are Flinchies and the Sierra Madre.
Oh, see, yeah.
I always have a blast when I play there, but I'm trying to get my name out there, trying to get recognized, and yeah, there's a lot of places that I play, but there's also a lot of places that I want to play. So I've just to kind of give you a little background on me, I've been singing since I was knee high to a tall Indian. So
wow, okay.
Since I was a kid, I did singing in church and stuff with the chorus and little plays and things like that. And then like middle school, I moved on to middle school chorus like everybody does. And then into high school, I did a lot of plays and musicals. And singing chamber singers in our high school.
Very cool. Okay.
Yeah. So if anybody doesn't know what that is, it's kind of like elite chorus. And then there I just kind of dropped off. I didn't really do much after that. And then I started learning how to play guitar like in my mid-20s. I had tried to pick it up like in my teens and stuff like that, but it was kind of like pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down. I didn't really stick with it. And then finally I was like, you know what, I'm going to learn this thing. So self-taught, just kind of stuck with it, and it took off from there. And then, bounce forward to, last year, I finally got the nerve to say, you know what, I'm going to do this in front of people. So, and that's kind of had an idea of like maybe 1 or 2 gigs a month, and that just kind of blew up into almost every week, and I'm doing something. So it's awesome. I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving doing this. And I can honestly say I wish I started it like 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah. I can completely identify with that.
Yeah.
I have a couple questions off of just what you said there.
Sure.
So, whenever you started playing guitar, did you learn on acoustic or electric?
When I was in my teen, I was probably 12 years old. I had an acoustic guitar and I was learning. I was actually going to a teacher, and I just didn't have the, whatever you want to call it, to stick with it. And my music teacher even told my mom that he's never going to learn how to play this because he just doesn't have the patience for it. I know. I was like, wow, thanks. So, and then I was in my mid-20s and I was like, I'm going to switch to acoustic, and I just kind of loved how it sounded, just the difference in it. And not that I would never pick up an electric again because I love them too, but yeah, my love is acoustic guitars.
Yeah. I learned on acoustic as well, and now like trying to learn some spots for the band and stuff like that. I am trying to play a little bit of electric here and there, and I'm like, once you've learned on acoustic, electric feels so easy. It's like effortless. You're just kind of like, I'm like, I barely have to push on the strings to fret them. This is incredible. Yeah. Now, I always find that interesting because it seems like a lot of guys that started out playing electric, they seem to have like such great fretboard kind of fluency on acoustic. Mm-hmm. And the guys that play acoustic, that start out on acoustic, you give them electric, and some of them are like, what the hell am I supposed to do with my fingers? Like, so it's always a cool dynamic with those two. Chamber singers and all that. So what happened after school? Did you like lose interest in music, or was it just life?
Life kind of got in the way. I had kids when I was early, so they kind of took a lot of time, and then had a couple tragedies here and there that happened in my life, and it just kind of pushed me further and further away. And then finally I got to a point where I was like, all right, I need something. So I picked up, guitar, and it's just taken off. So, but yeah, to your point, I could play acoustic for like 3 hours and my fingers are sore. I could probably pick up an electric at this point and play all day long and not feel a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, that's interesting, man. I definitely like whenever you're first getting started, it seems like you have these certain things that you do, like these scales or learning chords and all that. It seems like it would be easier on electric to do. I mean, just for the physical nature of it, but I think that you develop this skill by like having to, really place your fingers correctly.
Yep.
There's no wiggle room. You're not using distortion. There's nothing to cover it up.
Right.
So no, that's interesting. So you said you had kids early.
Yeah.
So my daughter was born like a month after I turned 18. And that's the same thing kind of happened with me, where I spent a lot of years just being dad, and kind of working at all these million different jobs. And then when she turned 17, I was like, I'm going to start kind of playing some music, getting out there and playing a little bit, kind of fell in love with it. And I had the exact same feeling of like, I wish 10 years ago, like she would have supported me then. I probably couldn't have.
Right.
I probably didn't have the same amount of free time, but it definitely it's such a fulfilling career, and such a cool thing to do. Like, do you have so goals wise? Like, what's your goals with the podcast? Or with the with playing music? Yeah, what's your goals with your new podcast you're gonna
thanks.
have?
No, I'm right now. I'm just kind of enjoying it. I mean, I would love to do it full time at some point in my life. Once I get, if I can get enough gigs rolling and get that kind of an income where I could do it full time, that would kind of like be my dream job.
Yeah.
Just because I love being behind the microphone. I love entertaining people, getting crowds up and singing and dancing along and everything. And that right there to me is payment.
Oh yeah.
There's no other feeling like that.
No, it's such an interesting thing to do. I always think like if there's one thing that's common amongst musicians is that we are odd people sometimes, in one way or another. And it's like we have this call or this weird thing in us that wants us to get on stage in front of people and be like super vulnerable and like, it's this thing of you get some validation from the crowd, you get some kind of fulfillment from playing the music. You're out there, you're creating good times for everybody. And it's so different from like any other, I mean, I'd imagine artistic jobs are the same, but it's so different from every other like regular, like I talk to my friends with day jobs and it's like, they're like, what are you complaining about? Sometimes whenever I'm like, man, this gig was terrible. They're like, I have to go
I have to work my 8 hours.
Yeah. I have to pack things at Amazon, you dick. Like, are you telling me you drank on your job last night and you had a bad time?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So do you, so coming into this a little bit later, what are some challenges you think you might have faced as a solo musician coming into the scene? Did you notice anything that kind of stood out to you?
Well, I think one of the big things that held me back from doing it beforehand was basically my nerves. I think I was afraid at first to kind of stand up in front of people. And my wife Stephanie, she's been a huge support for me, and she was the one that was kind of like, you need to get your butt up there because you can sing.
That's
and I know
huge,
you can sing.
yeah.
And I was finally like, okay. So Flinchies obviously is where I finally got my start. That was the first gig I played, and for the first couple of songs, you could tell I was nervous. And after that, I just kind of like looked around, and some people were paying attention. Other people were just, having conversation, drinking their beers. And I finally just like clicked in my head. I was like, you're the radio, dude. Just be the radio,
Yeah.
And after that, I just kind of took off. And I haven't really, I mean, obviously get nervous here and there going into new places, but it's been a hell of a ride. So
That's a great way to look at it, man.
Yeah.
We're just the radio. We're just there to create.
You're the jukebox,
Right.
That's exactly what you are. So.
Right. And there's so many different approaches to solo music, because some guys I talk to, they're like, they only play originals, right?
Right.
Or they're like, I don't do requests. I don't like, there's some guys that are just, they're like artists, and they're like, I'm not doing anything that doesn't fit me. And then there's other guys like everybody that I know that is successful at like making a living out of this, that are like, okay, yeah, I'll do requests. I'm going to do every song that anybody asks me to play for the most part.
Right.
I'm just there to facilitate a good time. And I'm not so attached to it that I'll just like, not do things because, it's against me. And because I have certain songs, like Sweet Caroline's one of mine. I talk about all the time on here.
Love playing that song.
Well, I hated it for a long time. Vitrally hated it. And then, just recently, just from talking about it on the podcast, I'm like, every time you play that, the room just turns into like electric.
Yep.
It's everybody is ready to have a good time, and you are now bringing them into that space where they're like, oh, we're going to sing along. We know the words to this every single time. It's like, I think it was one of the late night comedians. He was talking about how he's like, that's a way to find white people if they're running from the law, right? He's like, because you just walk out there.
Oh,
yeah,
darn.
Yeah. He's like, you'll hear it every time. I think it was Trevor Noah. But yeah, man, I played it last night at the place I was playing in Carlisle, Hungry Run, and I mean, everybody sang it. Everybody. The whole place. And then there's people cheering from one of the other rooms. And I'm like, yeah, that song serves a purpose. Yeah. And I don't know why in this
Penn
area.
State fans.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. I heard that before. That's right. So you said you had 2 gigs this weekend. I had 2 gigs this weekend, and 2 seems to be my sweet spot. I don't really like to do more than 2 a week right now. Especially with like the band and everything else. I just kind of noticed that like through the years, I'm like, there's a certain amount of gigs that feel right. And I don't feel overworked, and I don't feel like I'm, half-assing it or just kind of going through the motions. So like having a 2-show weekend, being this, 5 months into it, 4 months into it, how does that work for you right now? Like, do you find is there any issues, vocal wise? Is there anything that you notice having like 2 shows on the weekend? Is there anything different that you thought might be different?
By Sunday, the voice is a little scratchy and, fingers are a little sore. So usually like if I have back-to-back gigs like that, I'll take Sunday off and I won't even touch anything. I just usually lay in bed and, hang out, TikTok, Facebook, watch movies, stuff, just chill. That's kind of like my chill day.
Just decompress.
Right. Yeah. Like for me, I could probably do like 3 gigs in a weekend or in a week. I would just need like a Wednesday, Thursday, and then just have that like day off, and then I could, crank 2 more out.
Yeah.
So
that's a sweet spot.
Yeah.
That's having a 2 gig weekend. I find myself like today. I was like, I need to warm up, and I need to warm up to be able to sing at all. On my way to the band show. And like Friday, I noticed like I played Friday, Saturday, and then had 3-hour band practice today, and so 9 hours of like singing, 6 hours of playing guitar, and I'm just like, if I don't warm up on the way to my show, I know the difference. Now, if it's like one show, like a week, or if it's a Wednesday and I don't warm up for that one, I could probably get by if I have till Friday to sing again. But do you do any like warm up exercises as far as vocals or guitar or anything like that?
Sometimes, not all the time, not every time. But sometimes, like if I'm driving to the venue, I'll do like humming or certain vocal ranges just up and down just to warm everything up.
Yeah.
Probably look weird in the car, people driving by me going, what is that guy doing? But yeah. But no, I try to warm up at least a little bit on my way to the venue.
That's good, man.
So,
yeah. I found, I really was not good with it for a while. And then I had a bunch of years where I was doing like 4 or 5 shows every week for forever, like 2 on Saturday and a bunch of other ones. And, I started noticing I was having real bad vocal fatigue just all the time. and I started to do my warm-ups, and I found Jacob's Vocal Academy, which I tell everybody about. It's on YouTube. It's free.
Okay.
And they have like a 10-minute warm-up, a 15-minute warm-up, a 20-minute warm-up, a 25. So they have all these different ones depending on how long you have in your drive, right? And I'll every single time I'm going to a show now, I'll just put it on. I'm like, when my GPS says I have 20 minutes till I get there, I put on the 20-minute warm-up. I'm ready to go by the time I pull in the parking lot. And it's lip trills, it's humming, it's like slides, it's runs, it's all these different things, and it actually helps you develop like I couldn't do a run at all at the beginning of this year. And then I, started listening to this, and it like drilled in. It's just like playing guitar. So like Jacob's Vocal Academy is probably one of the best that I've heard on there. And they have so many different ones. Like today I did a 25-minute one, and I was like, cause I need 25 minutes. And at the beginning I could notice like my range was bad and I had some issues. By the end it was like, oh no, everything's working again.
Awesome.
It's lubed up. And just, I'm taking guitar lessons now too. You said you're kind of self-taught. Have you ever, like, how did you go through self-teaching yourself guitar, man? Because I'm interested in this.
Had Hal Leonard's Intro to Guitar, honestly. Yeah, that's where I started out with, and then slowly just kind of picked up little things here and there. And for me, it was basically just learning chords, that was a big part of it. And from there, it was kind of, as far as like songs and stuff, I would listen to the song, for the the change ups and the the difference, the timing and the chord changes and everything like that, and then I would go and I'd pull up a tab for that song and just play it, listen to it, play it, listen to it, just back and forth until I had it nailed.
That's smart.
And now I've got G tabs on my phone and on my iPad, so I just pull that up. It's like, well, I want to learn this, boom, pull that up, listen to the song. So everything's mostly like by ear.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's how I started out. Like 100%.
Yep.
I did that for 4 years before I decided to get a lesson.
Right.
Cause I was like, I don't know. I felt like I had enough to get by. Now that I'm taking lessons, the biggest thing that I'm understanding is the difference between like how I was playing guitar, just being self-taught and playing all those like first position chords, and kind of not having, I wasn't really going up on the neck for anything. I was just kind of hanging out down here, and it's perfectly fine. I could go by, I think AC/DC's done that for forever. But you can make it for a while.
Right.
And then, or for forever. And I just, now that I'm noticing these different ways to play up on the neck, I'm always very fascinated at how much better you can like accompany yourself whenever you're not so much in those first position chords, because they're full. They're filled. They're as thick as you're going to get a chord.
Yep.
And that's the only thing. I don't know. I default back to playing just first position chords all the time.
Yep.
Like it's comfortable.
Guilty.
And and it sounds good. It's not
does.
like it's bad. And I mean, I don't know. Any interest in taking lessons at any point?
I could probably do with a lesson or two.
Yeah.
It wouldn't hurt. Just to polish up on some stuff and branch out up the neck and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah.
We have some really good instructors in our area. Chris Augst.
Yep.
Right.
No, he just started his thing. So.
Yeah. From Hank the Buffalo. He's a solid guy. I take him from Colin Alvarez. He's another like really good. His picking is very, very good, and I'm always just like, I can't do that. He's like, no, you can if I just show you.
Finger pick, like that's my one Achilles heel is like finger picking. It's like, ugh.
Yeah. You're like, I don't know, I don't know how I see what his fingers are doing.
Oh no, it's beautiful. I mean, it sounds awesome when people can do it, but
right. My problem, finger picking for me, I can finger pick, but I feel. And I don't know if this is true or not, because one thing we do is analyze the hell out of what we're doing.
Oh, yes.
Just all the time.
Yep.
So I don't know if this is actually accurate, but I always feel like I have an issue with timing when I start to finger pick. I feel like I get too slow. I feel like it's just always a little weird. And I think it's because I'm concentrated so hard on doing it that I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe maybe I have to slow it down. So that way there I'm like, okay, I think I can get through this. And the more confident I get, maybe it'll get better. But so whenever you pick out songs, I'm always very interested in this, especially for solo guys. Mm-hmm. How do you go about like adding songs to your list, and how do you go about like organizing? Do you do set lists, that kind of thing for shows? How does that process happen for you?
For me, I mean, when I first started, my goal was to originally just kind of pull up songs that people may have not heard in a while. You know, some of the not like real famous, but like kind of famous type songs where like, you know, kind of like Take 'Em Back, you know, like I haven't heard this since high school, or I haven't heard this since college, you know, stuff like that. And that's kind of where I started, and from there it branched out into I realized at one point I was like, okay, I need to start learning some modern stuff too, you know. So I do a mix of rock that spans anywhere from like, you know, the 70s, like the Eagles, all the way up to like the early 2000s, where I'm playing, you know, Creed and Bush and, you know,
nice
stuff like that. But then I added some country music into it too. So the country's a little more on the modern side.
Okay.
So I'm playing like Morgan Wallen and Zach Bryant, stuff like that. So
okay.
I just learned a little bit of Jelly Roll, so I threw some of that in there. And
which ones did you learn?
Son of a Sailor is the one I learned.
Yeah. Or Son of a Sinner. Right?
Son of a Sinner. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. I thought it was
throwing Jimmy Buffett in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, wrong artist.
Yeah. So you usually go off of like crowd requests whenever it's like, if people are asking enough, you're like, all right, I'll add a song by that artist.
And that's the thing with a request. Like I'll play it if I know it, but if I don't know it, I usually try to keep it in the back of my mind. So it's like, okay, I don't know this one, but I make a note of it, like a mental note of it. So I'll go and I'll learn it. So at least I have something from that artist moving forward. Yeah. And that's kind of how my playlist has exploded.
Okay. That makes sense.
So it's a growing monster. It just keeps, you know, getting a little bigger and bigger.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. So do you use Setlist at all?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I do have a set list that I play off of, but if somebody comes up and says, "Hey, can you play, you know, XYZ?" Sure.
Right.
Let me take a look at it, and if I can play it off the, like last night somebody asked me if I could play Linger by the Cranberries, and I've never played it before.
Could you give it a shot?
I did play it.
Awesome.
I don't know if it was good, but I played it.
Yeah. You're like, yeah.
They enjoyed it. That's the important thing. So
right.
But yeah, it's usually like that, and you know, yeah. So
yeah.
If I don't know it, I'll make a note of it.
Yeah, so whenever you're putting your set list together, do you have like a pattern that you follow? Like, so whenever I used to use a lot of set lists. Now I for the most part I don't, and it's mostly because I'm lazy, but it's also because I rely heavily on requests. Just that's how I run things now. But back whenever I used to put set lists together, I remember like I'd be like, okay, I need to have like 4 or 5 like medium to fast paced songs for every slow song. And I would put it together that way because it seemed like, especially for the places that we play,
right.
It was like they want, if I'm playing Friday night somewhere and I start playing some heartfelt freaking ballad, like it always, it would change the energy in the room where you know, as an artist, we can dictate the energy
right
just by organizing our songs correctly, right? So do you ever like, does that like a part of your process? Do you kind of like look at that, or do you even notice that whenever you're out there playing?
To a point, yeah. I mean, I've learned to start reading the room, I guess, as you could say. But I do have a couple of set lists that I go off of, and sometimes I'll back and forth between both of them, just depending on, you know, what the people, you know, what the vibe is, what the people are into. But usually like the first hour that I'm playing, it's usually, you know, stuff that people can listen to, but they're enjoying their food, they're enjoying their drinks, stuff like that. And then the second hour is songs that people can, you know, get up and sing to, get up and dance to, because, you know, they've had a couple drinks in their system by
they're
that
ready.
time. Yeah, they're ready.
Yeah,
they're ready to start letting loose, you know. And then that third hour is kind of a mix of everything, you know, because, you know, by that point you've got people that are up and dancing, having fun. You've got people that want to listen to, you know, some slower stuff. And I've actually had people, I play slow songs, and I've had people get up and actually like slow dance to them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
And that's awesome. And then, by the end of the night, we're, gearing out those last couple of songs, and then, we finish it off.
Yeah.
So
it's time for Country Roads and
that's actually
Sweet
what
Caroline.
I finished. That's what I finished with.
I know.
Yeah.
And you know why you finished with it?
Because everybody sings along to it.
Every single person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that's another song that I was like, I hate playing this. And then I'm like, nope, no, I don't. Because I can have an entire night where nobody like sings along with anything or nobody requests anything. If I play that at the end of the night, the bartender's singing, the staff is dancing around. It's always that way.
Mm-hmm.
It never fails.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome, man. So you're let's see here. So far for you, what is something that is like, what would you say is your, I hate these questions, where I ask you what the most important blah, blah, blah. But what would you say is like the most rewarding kind of thing from playing, like as a solo musician for you? Like, what's the most rewarding part of it for you?
Seeing the crowd engagement.
Yeah.
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 That's the best. I mean, if you're going in there and it's dead, or if there's like nobody paying attention to you, it's like, okay, what am I doing here?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I'm getting paid to be here. But at the same time, it's like, what am I doing?
Right.
But and that's kind of where some kind of a change up can happen. You change up your songs a little bit just to try to engage people, and sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't.
Right.
So, but yeah, when the crowd's up and they're having a good time, singing along and dancing, and just you've got people, people come in and they're, you never know what's going on in their life, and you, depending on what you're playing, can make a difference for them. You could have somebody that's having a completely bad day come in and they hear a song and it's like, wow, I haven't heard this song in forever. And then they start listening and engaging, and, they walk out and it's like, all right, I had a crappy day, but it ended well.
Oh yeah.
And that's awesome. That's what makes it,
That's I know I've harped on this recently on the podcast, but that is what we do. We're like light workers in a certain way.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I feel that. I didn't know that for like the first couple of years. I was just like especially for those gigs that are hard, right? I'd be out there and I'm like, what is this? What lesson am I supposed to be learning right now?
Yep.
Why am I here by myself? I don't even like the way I sound.
I know. It's like, am I really paying that bad? It's like, I'm not that bad, am I?
Yeah. It really makes you question yourself. And then I realized, just literally last year, I was just like, oh no, like a lot of these shows aren't for me. Like they are in a certain way. They're for me to get better, for me to understand how to better read a room, or how to, how to adapt to a room that has changing energy. Because that happens sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like, I needed those lessons. So now I'm like, most of the time, whenever I'm out there playing, I'm just happy to be there. And I'm happy, like last night, Hungry Run, right? That it's a small venue, and I'm in there, and there's this huge table that is up, like basically I'm standing on them. Right. And I'm like, and they're the only people in the room.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, I've got the entire crowd is right here. So I'm playing, they are really loud. Now they're nice. They're like singing along. Some of them are singing along. Some are just having really loud conversations. And so the whole time I'm just kind of playing to them, they leave, and then the room's completely empty. And I'm like, oh no. Because I'm like, I hope this isn't how this is going to go. Because this night could do this. 5 minutes after that, Rachel Rocks walks in.
Nice.
Matt Jameson, Holly, Megan from Megan and Dave, and her husband, Matt. And then another whole group of people come in. Now it's a full room of people that are like singing along and clapping. It went from being this like, I was panicking. It went from that to me being like, oh, this is probably one of my favorite shows that I've had, this year, but, for the last 12 months. And so I think what I learned, what I continue to learn is those nights happen where it will literally, I could have been so angry and started to like freaking like just kind of phone it in. But I was like, I'm still going to play my ass off no matter who's here or not. And then the whole crowd showed up. So I'm like, fuck yeah. Like you learn that stuff, I guess.
See, when those things happen to me, like, and I've had that happen where it's like you walk in, there's like 13 people there. You're like, oh boy. And then, an hour later, it's completely empty and you're playing for the restaurant. And it's like, you know what? And you know what? That's my learning opportunity, because if I have new songs that I'm working on,
perfect time
to play those. It's like, because if you screw up, who's going to hear you?
Just you,
just me, and that's it.
Yeah. And isn't it crazy? I always think this is wild, and I feel like you're going to feel the same way. Nobody has ever noticed my mistakes more than me.
Same.
Like, period.
Yeah.
Like, it's always I'm so hard on myself, and I'm always, I like hold myself to this really high standard that is probably unattainable. Like that I'm just going to nail every single song. I'm like, that's impossible.
I think that's musicians in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm the same way. It's like, I notice when I screw something up, but like I can talk my way for, our friends that are out listening to me, and they're like, I didn't hear anything. I think you sounded great.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Like, all right, fine.
Thanks.
Yeah. I said to my girlfriend once, I was like, I wonder if that is like the curse of the creative type, because it doesn't feel rewarding. It doesn't feel rewarding to think that you suck all the time.
Right.
It just doesn't, like, I understand that it helps you grow and all that, but I'm like, what? Like the tortured soul thing. I'm like, that makes sense.
Sometimes.
That makes sense sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, I sang the hell out of that song.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen that often. That's usually especially if I'm drinking. Like, I try not to drink. Do you drink whenever you play at all?
I will usually have like a beer before I start, but I usually drink water while I'm playing.
Yeah.
Occasionally I will do like a shot of Jaeger, like especially
nice.
if I'm feeling a little rough in the throat, because
Yeah.
for whatever reason it coats the throat and it helps you get through the rest of your gig, and it's
Yeah.
amazing.
That's funny.
It could be a life changer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I usually try not to drink while I'm singing, because alcohol is awful for your vocals anyway.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. Yeah. Yeah.
And then when I'm done, I'll drink a beer.
Yeah. The post-show beer.
Yep.
The post-show beer is so nice.
Oh, it tastes so good.
It does. It does. My the Jaeger thing's funny. My girlfriend, she's a singer too, and so whenever we do shows together, we do a shot of Jaeger, and it's like it lubricates the throat for some reason.
Yep.
The guys in Shine Through the Shade, Andy and Kevin, they're also in a band, Adrian Blitzer. Those guys like live on Jaeger bombs, like live on them whenever they're on stage. Like he used to always say, he's like, it helps my vocal cords, and I'm like, science doesn't say that. Science says that alcohol is supposed to dry out your vocal cords entirely.
Yeah, and I think it was I think it was Phil Cannizzaro who told me, if you're getting rough on the vocals, take a shot of Jaeger.
Yeah.
So he's the one that kind of led me into that. I was like, okay. So I tried it and I was like, damn, this actually works.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that, and another thing I found that was really helpful, I wish I had a bottle right here so I could do like a sponsor spot, but Vocal Mist, I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
I have.
Have you? Yeah. They usually have it at like guitar shops and stuff like that, and Vocal Mist for me for a long time was instrumental in like helping my voice on those 4, 5, 6 shows, whatever, in a row.
Okay.
And as long as you don't get the menthol one. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. I don't know if they know how menthol works for singers, but like it freezes your vocal cords.
Yep.
Like they just don't function. So that's why I was like, I tried that one once and it ruined my voice, but they have a bunch of other flavors.
Maybe that one's just for public speaking.
That's right. Yeah, it's gotta be. Yeah. They're like, you'll be able to
should have a warning label, not for singers.
Yeah. For speakers only. That's hilarious. So I want to ask you, whenever you're out there right now, and I don't know for sure. I just know what I experienced as like a newer artist in the area. Whenever I was first getting started, I noticed that it was like sometimes I get a little downtrodden because there's a lot of times that you'll reach out to venues and you just don't get a response. And that's like 90% of it. You'll go out to an open mic and you'll play the open mic and not get booked sometimes. And it's like, well, what happened there? And then you find out which is not always the case, but sometimes it's like, well, the booker is like friends with all the people he's booking or she's booking. And it's like, well, how am I ever going to get in there?
Right.
Right. So all of those kind of things that are, that you navigate as you're in there for a while, how do you stay motivated? Let's put it that way. And in the face of that kind of like the little barriers that we have whenever we're first getting into it, how do you find the motivation to still like, contact a booker, send the email, do whatever you need to do to try to get a show somewhere?
I think for me, really, it's, because I am still new at this, it's like I haven't hit that point yet.
Okay.
So I'll send the Facebook messages, I send the emails, I even do, I'm old school, so I do the door-to-door stuff. I'm like, hey, yeah,
okay.
I'll pop in and, grab a plate of wings and a beer and say, hey, who does your booking?
That's
just kind of introduce myself, and that way I'm giving back to the venue, by not just walking in and saying, hey, here I am, but, getting some grub out of it too.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, I'll do that. And then I'll get like contact information, or a lot of times I'll message the Facebook page, and that's what I've been doing a lot lately, has been hitting the Facebook pages of different venues, and sometimes I don't get anything back right away, but like a couple weeks ago I messaged like 6 different venues, and I had 2 of them respond to me like a week and a half later and set me up with stuff. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that, so you said you normally just you reach, is that your like number one? Usually you like reach out through Facebook Messenger before you do the other stuff, or is it a blend, or?
It's a blend. Like unfortunately there's no instruction manual on how to do it. So I've been kind of like, trying to figure this out on my own.
Yeah.
But people are like, just here, email this person, or, go on our Facebook page.
Right.
And, I'll send an email or a Facebook message, and I'll include a little clip of like me playing guitar or something like that, so they have an idea of what I sound like. And I'm trying to get more content actually on my fan page too, so that, I can use that as a point of reference as well.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you have a website or anything, or?
I don't have a website yet. I just have the fan page right now. So, but I am looking to expand some stuff too.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I usually try to give advice if I can on the podcast. Mm-hmm. And so for me, whenever I reach out to places, I've found a couple things to be really beneficial over others. Keeping emails, like I email a venue, and if I can't get a response on Facebook, I'll go to their website, right? And then I just go to the whatever contact form they have.
Okay.
And I'll just kind of give, it'll be like purpose or whatever. You just say, live music booking, give them your name, and drop a link to a YouTube video or somewhere where they can see you play.
Okay.
And then just send that to them, and just kind of expect them to, usually 99% of the time, they'll answer the email.
Gotcha.
That. In my case, I've found that to be, like, Facebook Messenger is still my first one. Mm-hmm. Like, because now in the age we're in, a lot of those pages have to respond to your message.
Yep.
To like, retain their badge for responsiveness or whatever. So I take full advantage of that. It's like, I'll send them a message and be like, balls in your court.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you can kick it back if you want.
Yep.
But no, I would always do that. Another thing I found really helpful is find the groups for musicians in your area, mm-hmm. or areas you want to play. Like I'm in these groups for like Harco County and these different counties down in Maryland, and it'll be like whatever it is, Frederick County live music scene is one of the groups.
Okay.
I'll just go on there and I'll be like, hey, who's got open mics? And everybody's always, they're very nice. I mean, you have some not great.
Sure.
Yeah. But for the most part, everybody's really nice. And I even found that, like, when I go out of state, I'll just jump into whatever page that is in, like Charleston, South Carolina. I'll go to Charleston, South Carolina and be like, all right, hey guys, who books music? Does anybody know of anybody in the area? I'm traveling through, I want to play. And that has like 100% return.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that stuff is really beneficial. And above and beyond having a website now, if you want to skip having a website, I don't think it's as integral as it used to be. If you have a link tree which is a free thing that you can set up, and you have a YouTube channel. You can use that link tree to put on links for them to send you an email to book you. You can have your promo reels on there. You can have everything. And it's just it's a link tree, right? So it's just a tree of links that they can click then. And every single one of this is my Facebook page. This is whatever. You can have all of it right there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And you don't even have to worry about like I have a website, but I don't need it anymore. I mean, they have a Bands in Town link on that link tree where they can see all of your show dates. Like everything can be integrated, and Linktree's free. Like it makes no sense to not use it.
Okay.
So if you're I don't know. I felt like I should talk about that on the podcast today. So that's good. I'm glad that came up.
That's a good point to make. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, man, there's so much that goes into it in the back end that people don't see, like practicing. Do you have a practice routine for vocals or guitar or anything like that?
Like I try to pick up at least every day, even if it's just for like 10, 15 minutes a day, just to keep the fingers solid so they don't get, soft.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's the worst.
Yes.
But yeah, I'll like, especially if I'm trying to learn a new song, to add to a set list, I'll pick up and I'll play it for 20, 30 minutes a day, just to kind of get a little bit of exercise, get the vocals exercise, keep them warmed up, stuff like that.
Yeah. So you have a guitar that's easily accessible in the home then.
3.
Yeah. Yeah. Just are they hung? Are they sitting in a
2
stand?
are on the wall, 1's on a stand.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That is such an accurate thing. I don't know whoever said that before, but like if you have something easily accessible, and like guitar is a great one. If you just go, I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to make it sure I pick it up once a day. I don't really care how long it's for, but I have to pick it up. You're never just going to pick it up for one song.
Nope.
Like it just doesn't happen.
Nope. And sometimes I'll pick up one, I'll put it down, I'll pick up the other one, and play something else, and it's it's like, all right, y'all got your workout today,
right? Right, yeah, yeah.
Now it's funny. My wife actually got me a shirt that says "Love one woman and several guitars." I was like, perfect.
That's a great shirt. That's hilarious.
Yep.
So your guitars right now, you're tuning. I like to find this out too. Are you in like standard tuning on everything? Are you half step, full step?
I am at 432 frequency.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yep.
All right. That makes sense.
So
okay.
It's kind of in between half and standard.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Wally DeWall. I don't know if you know Wally. He's a local musician. He was trying to explain to me what that was. And I was like, I have no idea.
It's
He's
a
like,
healing frequency. So.
That's what he said. Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm into that. Like my girlfriend has like those tuning forks or whatever, the vibration. I don't know what the hell they're called. And she talks about healing frequencies and how they work. And I understand some of that. The 432 thing, I was like, so it's not in tune? And he's like, no, it's in tune. And I'm like, it's in tune to what? How do you tell other musicians? Like, if you're like, they walk up and they want to play with you, and you're like, I'm tuned to this hertz.
Turn it slightly down.
That'd be your advice?
Yeah, no.
I like that.
Yep.
So gear-wise, man, what do you roll with? What is your typical setup to go play at like a bar or restaurant?
I have my PA system's an Evolve 30M.
Ooh,
love it! I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And then I have a Boss 8010 as my preamp.
Okay.
It's got a couple neat little features on it too. So I can do delay, I can do chorus, I can do anti-feedback if I need to, which I hardly ever touch it because I'd hardly ever get feedback on my guitar.
Yeah.
And then I have, the Shure 58 for microphone.
Okay. Regular 58 or the 58A or?
I think it's regular 58.
Regular 58. Yeah. Those are great. So that's your full setup.
That's my full setup.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Man. I love that. I heard, so I went to see Colin play last night after my show. He was at Hook and Flask. So I popped in there to see him. He has an Evolve 50M, the $2,500 monster. That thing sounded, it was so crystal clear. And the bass on it, that's what the remarkable part was. The bass and the guitar was just booming. And I'm like, he had that one speaker, and it filled that room like no other speaker probably could have. I really like those Evolve things. I have a Evolve Everse, the little battery-powered 8-inch guy.
Yeah.
And that thing it's perfect because it's battery-powered. So, like...
You don't have to worry about cords.
At all.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's usually my satellite speaker, so I'll have, like, my Bose up by me, and then I'll run a cable out to that guy 50 feet away and set him up back there, so that way I don't have to turn this one up as loud to reach the back of the room.
Yep.
But those, you don't have to do that with the Evolves, really. Those things just carry forever.
They pack a punch. Yeah, they really do. Yeah.
Yeah. The 30s. Do you know what they cost? Do you have any idea?
I think brand new they're like $1,300.
Okay.
I paid $1,000 for mine because it was an open box. So
nice.
Got a little bit of discount.
Those are good. Yeah, that's a good deal. Yeah.
But I opened it up. I was like, I think they sent me a brand new one by accident, though, because like it was brand new packaging and everything. There was nothing wrong with it. No dings, dents, nothing. I was like, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So any effects on the vocals at all?
Nope.
No? You just direct in?
Just me.
Wow.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a lot of effects on my vocals. I run a Voice Live Play acoustic pedal, and I hate it. I hate the way it sounds. I hate everything. They're never going to sponsor me. I hate that pedal. The only thing I like about it is it does looping. So I can, and I don't loop a lot, but I like to, and I like to try. But I like the looping part of it, and I like the harmonies because I can get like a vocal harmony match on there. But the effects that are built in, I've found literally the best thing that you can do is not really have effects on your voice, especially as a solo guy.
Right.
Too much reverb, too much delay, too much whatever. It's going to sound cool for one song, maybe two songs.
And then you're going to be adjusting it like every other song because it just doesn't work for any other song.
It doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't. Yeah. You don't want tons of reverb and delay for a Puddle of Mud song. It's like, what the hell are you doing? This is
maybe like Crimson and Clover. You get that wow, 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 wow.
Yes. Yeah. Now, I mean, I don't know. I guess as I'm thinking about it, Wally DeWall uses a ton of reverb on his vocals and his guitar, but he's always playing these like spacier songs. So I think it really fits his style. So I guess it's just he's not out there playing Puddle of Mud normally,
right.
or heavy rock. But yeah. I mean, I've found a couple pedals throughout the years that have been all right. Like on the Voice Live, I have the one setting that I always use has a delay, and I can just turn it on and off with my foot. So I'll use it as like at the end of a verse to like trail that verse into the chorus or whatever. Like I always have a way of doing it, but I don't think you can leave it static. I don't think you just always have it on. I think it gets weird. Do you do any looping? Are you into that yet, or?
I haven't quite delved into that. Now, the nice thing about what I have right now is it does have a built-in looper, so nice. I can play around with it. It's got a delay pedal on it, so I can, punch the delay pedal if I want to add some of that in there, and a boost pedal. So it's. I mean, this 8010 it's got everything.
Yeah,
it really does, and I really don't need anything else especially for doing acoustic.
Does that have compression on it?
Yes.
Man. All right.
Yeah,
now I got to get
got
one.
Acoustic resonance. I mean, it was like $430, but it was money well spent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And you can plug in 2 different guitars too, so you don't even have to worry about unplugging and during sets.
That's great.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Finding something that has all of those functions and actually works. Like I had a Tech 21 fly rig acoustic for a while, and that has like all of those things built into it, but the reverb didn't sound great. The delay was okay, but you could never really get the timing correct on it. And it got wet. And now I've just been running my guitar just straight in, and I'm like, oh, this is actually a little bit better than what I had before. So I think it's having the right. Boss makes such a good product.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They really do.
Like even their loopers are just the dedicated loopers are ridiculous. especially those the 505s. A lot of the guys around here that loop, like Kevin Koa and a couple other guys, they have those 505s have like 5 different independent channels, and you can kind of they like sync up, and it's what a piece of technology. Makes you sound like a 9-piece band.
I know, right?
Yeah. Now, so do you said you don't really have stage fright. Did you have any stage fright whenever you were like first getting started?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like when I first started playing, like I said, the first 2 songs I was in, I was nervous, and I could hear it in my own voice. But then, like I said, I kind of just looked around and realized that nobody was really paying attention. They're just having their conversations and drinking their alcohol and, eating their meals and stuff. There are a couple people like listening and singing along and stuff. And I was like, all right, dude, be the radio, man. So,
right.
And then just from there, it just kind of clicked, in my brain. I was like, all right, let's do this. And like I said, I've taken off since, and it's been, that the 1 to 2 a month turned into every weekend I'm doing, 1, 2, sometimes 3 shows. And it's like, it's a blast. I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love doing this.
It's really beneficial to, especially right now, to be like, I saw you like picked up a show. Was that last night that you picked up the show? Yeah. And you like being available and being willing to just take a gig is 90% of the battle at the beginning. And like being available, like that's my first gig ever was because Wally got sick. And he was like, I can't play. And I'm like, I think I have enough songs. And he's like, all right, come on. Yeah. You're in.
Nice.
And that was at Flinchies. So
awesome.
Yeah. So like the musicians group on Facebook, you're part of that, right?
Yep.
That thing's
awesome.
It's
I love it.
Full of information.
Oh yeah.
And just tons of gigs being passed around.
Yep.
So, I mean, is that where do you find a bunch of gigs in that, like with?
I do.
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If somebody's like, I can't, can somebody fill in, for whatever reason? And it's like, yeah, if I'm check my calendar quick and it's, I'm available, or,
right.
somebody else gets it, whatever. And it's awesome. Gives everybody a chance to really get out and play that, that has the time to do it,
Right. Right. Yeah. It's a good community, man. And it definitely feels like it feels like a community right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like even the open mics. Do you go out to open mics at all, or?
Haven't yet.
No?
No. I've been wanting to. I just haven't been able to. I haven't schedule-wise and stuff, like during the week. Sometimes it's like, it's on a day I have something else going on. I can't make it out there, But I gotcha. I would love to get out just to, hang out with people and sing songs and, just laugh and have a good time.
Right. Yeah. I find it like that's one of my big goals this year is to get back out to open mics. 'Cause I stopped going for a while because I got busy with a gajillion freaking projects. And but I was like, a goal of mine for 2025 is to get back out to the open mics because this is our industry.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is what we do. And it's good to get around your peers. It's good to get around other people that hate themselves and just soak in that energy. It's great because it's just like any other business. Like the way that you're going to succeed in business is by being, friends with your peers in that business.
Right.
Learning from people, from their mistakes and being part of the community. And it's a great way to network with everybody and get gigs. And I love open mics because most of the time you can go there and you're playing in front of the booker or in front of the manager or in front of somebody that if you do a good enough job, you're probably going to get a call.
Yeah.
And you get a chance to drop off your business card or information about yourself. Do you have business cards that you take around?
I do. I have business cards. I just got stickers.
Oh, nice.
So I can hand those out to people. Take them at my venue or when I'm out playing and stuff like that. And I've seen people walk around, put them on their on their chest or wherever.
Yeah.
So that's fun to watch people walk around with stickers.
Yeah, that's the best. Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, it's like, I mean, you're out there, you're playing, with our, within our community. We're community musicians coming together to, play songs together and, have a good time. But yeah, at the same time, it's getting noticed by the venue as well.
Right.
And, I realize that, because I'm so new, a lot of places are like, Eric who?
Right.
Yeah. So
yeah.
that's slowly getting past that, but it's a process. It really is.
Yeah. And it's, it took me, when I first started out, this is just me personally, I took that so personal. Whenever venues, like, I would go there and they'd be like, I've never heard of you. And I'm like, I didn't even, what are you talking about? Like, I just started playing. And I would get so angry, or I'd be like, how am I ever going to get into these places without them, when nobody's going to give me a chance? Like, my girlfriend and I have talked about it before. It's like those jobs where they're like, we want you to have 6 to 8 years of experience for this job.
Right.
And you're like, how the hell am I going to get experience if I can never get a job in this field?
What do you want, my high school resume?
Right, exactly. And then I ventured into booking this year, like last year. So I started that tenor artist management, right? And I was like, okay, how am I going to book acts? And I'm like, well, I'm going to book them based on, their social media presence and videos that I can find. And I'm going to book them on all this stuff. And then I went, oh, hey, dummy. Guess what they were doing to you at the beginning? Mm-hmm. Like, and whenever I walked in there and I was like, I'm Dave, and they're like, Dave who? And I'm like, Dave Gates. And they're like, all right, where can I see you? And I'm like, I mean, you could Google me.
I'm right here.
Yeah, I'm right here right now. But that's it's part of the process, and I didn't realize that till this year. I'm like, okay, it's nothing personal most of the time. Most of the time, it's just I'm going to book somebody that I know is going to show up.
Right.
That I personally know that will play, and that's going to probably before I give a chance to somebody that's new. Mm-hmm. And usually if I have somebody reach out to me and they're like, hey, I want your help with booking or whatever, I'll be like, all right, I'll do a little bit of research. If I don't know that much about them, I'll ask my friends. And most of them, if I don't know them, somebody's going to know them in the scene. So I'm like, I'll just ask people, and then half the time I'll be like, oh, well, they play this type of music. They play this, they play that. So I think that whenever you're getting started, it's more of because nobody knows, right?
They're just getting your name out there so people do know. Yeah.
Right. And that's the open mics and the all back to all of that, right?
Absolutely.
It's crazy how it's a process, man. So let's see here. So like right now, where you're at in your journey, what would you say is probably one of the most like challenging things to kind of navigate as a musician? I know that's a weird question.
Yeah,
but,
let's see. I mean, for me, obviously it's getting the venues. I mean, I do have, some that are like, oh yeah, definitely come back. And then others, it's like, you'll hear from us and crickets, and
right.
That's probably the most challenging for me is, I know I can play. I know the songs that I know. I'm getting better at learning more songs so that I can, be readily available to do like requests and stuff like that. Cause I know people come up. The girl that came up to me last night, she wanted to know if I could play Fleetwood Mac, and I was like, nope.
No landslide.
No landslide. Well, she wanted Rihanna, and I was like, nope.
Oh,
yeah. I was like, oh no.
You're like, not happening.
Yeah. And then she's like, can you play Linger by the Cranberries? I was like, I will try.
Yeah.
So, but I played it, and it came out good. But yeah.
That's not a super easy one either.
No, it's not. I mean, and I haven't heard that song probably in like 10 years either. So I'm like, I don't even remember how this goes.
That's always a fun time to try.
I took my break and I like put on Spotify. I'm like listening to it on my, up to my ear while I'm trying to like block the other ear because everybody's yelling in the background. I'm like, I kind of got this. I was like, okay. Yeah. So we did it. Everybody sang along. It was fine.
I always find that if people are singing along, you must be doing it at least okay.
Semi good, yeah. Or they're that drunk.
Or and then sometimes I'll be like, you guys sound incredible, and I'll back off the mic a little bit, and I'll be like, the crowd is now.
Let you guys do it. I'll just play.
Yeah, I'm just gonna play. You, what did they do? Hey, what's going on? Like you guys are up now. I always laugh at that, man. No, that's. Let me. I'm gonna ask you about you now.
Okay.
So your musical inspirations, man, like what were some inspirations that made you even want to get into playing music? Like, do you have artists that you were like, I want to be able to play their music? Did you want to come in and kind of write your own music? Like what was the whole jumping point for you?
I've always been into pretty much all styles of music. Yeah, that was one thing that, like, growing up, I had a very open mind about. Was there wasn't any kind of music that I didn't listen to. I listened to, the rock. I listened to grunge. I listened to rap. I listened to country. I listened to classical, jazz, blues, reggae, like all of it.
That's super helpful.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a wide variety of music, and I gravitate more towards like rock and grunge and stuff like that. That's like my main musical taste that I like. But I don't close the door on any kind of music.
Yeah.
I like to listen to everything because you never know. It's like you can have a song that's like, more jazzy or bluesy, but you're like, what, I could probably pull that off.
Oh yeah.
And put like a, acoustic spin on it. Now, as far as like writing my own music, I haven't really ventured into that yet.
Is that a goal, you think?
Oh yeah,
or,
I'd love to be able to write my own stuff at some point. But I know for me, like coming up with something on my own is challenging. I'm one of those people that's great at bouncing off ideas off of somebody else.
I got you.
When it comes to that, so I could probably write with somebody to get like a song written out, just because that's kind of how my thought process is like writing it my own. I'm like, and I have like nobody to bounce it off of. But if I have somebody to bounce off ideas or lyrics or whatever, and have them have input, or hey, maybe try this behind that,
yeah,
I could probably whip something up.
Have you heard about Stephen Roberts or seen it on the Facebook? On the Facebook, have you seen it on the Facebook?
On the Facebook.
How old am I?
The Book of Faces.
Yeah, on that Book of Faces. Have you seen Stephen Roberts? So from Hank the Buffalo, right? He has this PA songwriters round that he kind of started on there.
Yes, I did just join that.
And that is like the gist of what they're looking to do is kind of workshop ideas for songs.
Just bounce off each other. Okay.
Yeah. So that's and I'm the same way. Like I can write stuff. I'm limited in what I can write by my abilities on guitar.
Okay.
Completely limited. Because I'm like, yeah, I have, 7 chords to pick from. But beyond that, I'm like, okay, what else? Like, I know a lot of songs just follow progressions and all that, but it's like I can probably write lyrics better than I can write melodies most of the time. But I think that's all something, it's like flexing a muscle, right?
Yeah.
You have to, just the more you do it, you got to write a bunch of bad songs.
Right.
Right.
You got to fail a couple times before you succeed.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was funny. I'm listening to Jay Shetty right now. Do you know who Jay Shetty is?
I do not. No.
Okay. So Jay Shetty is this, my girlfriend doesn't like him, but let me rephrase that. He's like a Hollywood monk. So he's a monk that has a podcast, and he teaches people a bunch of like Buddhist influenced kind of ways of thinking.
Okay.
Ways to expand your life, and it's called On Purpose with Jay Shetty. It's this great podcast, and I listen to it a lot because he's constantly like giving you little tips and tricks on how to grow and how to evolve and how to do all these things. And one of the things that he just brought up recently is like coming into 2025 is like setting your intentions for the year, and not just these like vague intentions, not like I want to, be a great solo artist, or I want to book more gigs. It's like, what he says is, you kind of want to come into it as like you're on a podcast giving an interview going, in 2025, I did this. Mm-hmm. And you like lay it out as if you've already done it. Just kind of lock it down, and, everything that you do that year, you're just kind of growing into that space. So if you want to be a better songwriter, like if my goal is being a better songwriter, what can I do? What can I do to do that? Well, I can try writing songs twice a week, no matter how bad they are. Like just try to write a song.
Sure.
Because he said, and something that I believe wholeheartedly, you have all these different stages of learning something. So you can, you have a learning stage, you have a experimenting stage, you have a failure stage, you have all these different things. The only thing that most people see is the thriving stage, is the last stage where you've figured it all out. Most people don't see all that other stuff behind the scenes, but it's like you can't get to thrive before you do all that. So I think that we have a great potential, like all of us, especially as solo musicians, because we're out there, like I said, just bearing it every weekend. We're out there like being vulnerable, and we're willing to take chances. And it's like we're presented with all these opportunities to grow in our craft. So I think that everything's kind of attainable. Like I don't think anything's off base. Like you said, you wanted to get into some other venues and stuff like that. I have the same goals, man. I have certain venues where
I guess all of our goals is like let's get all the venues, you know,
all of them. Yes,
all of them,
yes, yeah, and try them out. And I don't know if you noticed this at all, but like I have certain venues that I'm like, I kind of feel like I may not be a great fit for a particular venue. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Well, I've come across that too, where it's like, okay, my style, it doesn't vibe well with this atmosphere. Yeah. And
so if you're in those kind of cases, do you just are you trying to adapt, or do you just, because I've done both. Like I've chalked it up and been like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Right.
But I've also tried to like try things and then been like, okay, well, none of that worked. So
yeah, I kind of got the same, where I was like, I realized like some places there's like, yeah, this is like, because I know my style of music, I know what I like to play. Especially early on, I wasn't branching as far as, my set lists hadn't grown as far as they are now. So at the time it was like, okay, my style of music in this place don't vibe,
Right.
But then I've also had places where it's like, yeah, I don't like this place.
Yeah.
So
now, do you do anything? So whenever you're up there playing, and if you notice that people aren't, I feel like I'm just doing a expose with you today on how to be a musician.
Right.
It's not really what I'm going
101.
for. Yeah. But it's definitely, I just felt like you had this unique perspective with only being in it for so long that you could really help, because a lot of the audience that listens to this, they're newer musicians. They're newer people. They're maybe trying to figure out ways to navigate things. One of the biggest messages I get from people is just people being like, I thought that I was the only one. Like, I thought it was just me, that I got frustrated, that everybody else seems like they're booking gigs. Why do I go here? Why do I message these people and nobody answers? And then I'm like, no, that happens to everybody. Yeah. So,
even the people that have been in this for a while, I'm sure it happens to them too.
It still happens to me all the time.
Yeah,
all the time. Yeah. I'm
it's not a newbie thing.
No. I mean, I definitely, I've changed my approaches over the years, because I used to hound places, and it worked sometimes, but I would find a lot of the time that if I would have to hound a place to get in there to play, I wouldn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like when I got in there, it was like it wasn't a good fit, or it would feel off, like something was off, and it just. And so now I'm like, I send a message. I send a Facebook message. If I don't get that, I'll send an email. If I don't hear back from that, I just move on.
How long do you give before you?
Man, I probably do like 3 days in between those two messages.
Okay.
So I'll do like the Facebook message, and then like 3 days later, if I don't hear anything, I'll email them. I only do it on Mondays.
Gotcha.
Send the Facebook message on Monday. Send the email on Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay.
Do not, one thing I've found that will almost never get a reply, don't email them on the weekend.
Yeah, because they're so busy.
They're so busy.
Yeah.
It's the busiest time of the week for them. It's like you've missed the boat.
Yep.
So, but normally that's my goal, because I find that a lot of places, if they're actively looking to bring in new musicians, they're going to answer one of those.
Sure.
But if they're not looking, they're not looking. Like,
right.
That doesn't mean that you can't do it old school though. Like,
yeah.
I like driving around too.
I like food. So
I love food. Right. Yeah. No, it's a great way. And I like what you said earlier, man. It's a great way to kind of give them something too. Like you're there. Like Matt Jameson and I, we drove around Maryland last year. or 2 years ago, maybe now. And I was just like, hey, man, I have a list of 18 places that I want to check out. Like, come down, meet up with me. We're just going to go check out all of them. We'll get some food. We'll talk to whoever we have to talk to. And out of those 18, I think we got like 4 bars that booked us.
Yeah.
But those 4 bars were, that was probably 3 gigs at each of them. So that's 12. It's 12 gigs for the year.
That place I covered for you in Westminster.
Oh yeah, the Maryland.
Yeah,
Maryland. Mallet. Yeah,
that was awesome. That place was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'd say I love the Mallet. It's the staff there is so cool, and those blue parking lot lights at night. I know it's such a dumb thing to talk about, but it was the thing that drew me into that place at first.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how you go about picking venues. We're gonna talk about that in a second. But like for me, a lot of times I'm like, I'll look at them and see if there's something interesting about the place, or if they have like, I know a lot of us go through the same thing where we're like, okay, do I have any friends that play there? Do I,
right?
Because I'll ask them then, right, and see what they think. But it's sometimes I'm just like I had a place out in Richland, PA, out in Lebanon County. That I booked because they had really cool T-shirts.
Oh.
Yeah. I know that's a dumb thing, but they were like these crystal skull kind of T-shirt designs.
Nice.
And I'm like, I love their logo. I'm like, I'm going to book one show and I'll go out there and play it. And maybe I'll just get a T-shirt out of it. And I played it for a while and it was a cool spot. So do you have like a way that you select venues or do you just kind of comb through Facebook and see who's booking?
I kind of see where everybody else is playing, and it's like, well, I haven't played there. Let me message them. Parking is
oh my God. Parking is
parking
underrated.
Is usually one of the top things. It's like, all right, is there a parking lot or am I parking, 6 blocks away and have to haul everything,
Right.
That's kind of a big one for me. But yeah, I look to see where everybody's playing. And it's like, all right, I haven't played there. Let me shoot them a message and see if I can get in there. Or that's kind of how I go about it. So I'm not really picky at the moment as to where I want to play, where I don't want to play, until I've gotten in there and be like, all right, I don't want to play here anymore. But I'm willing to pretty much give everything a try at this point. Yeah. So.
Do you have specific venues that you like seek out as far as? Like, do you find yourself better in like, I hate to put it this way, but like, do you find yourself better in like classic rock or country themed kind of places? Do you find yourself better in, like, let me give an example here. So I have a couple places that I played before that all they wanted was like classic rock and country. And I was like, I don't know if this is my crowd.
Right.
Where it was like, I need somebody that like, I want a place that wants 90s music and ones that wants, kind of stuff from all over the map and not just one genre. And it seems like there's like some people fit in great. Like Matt Jameson, he fits in perfect.
I love his energy.
Yeah.
When he's out playing, it is awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's contagious.
Oh yeah. I like him and Crash and Cross and Hank the Buffalo. I love going to their shows because they're all just the energy they put off is phenomenal. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's an experience.
Oh God, yeah.
Right. It's not just a solo or an acoustic musician up there playing. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, Matt's kilt is hilarious.
Oh my God.
I was like, he's wearing a kilt.
He's wearing a kilt. He's
like,
sponsored.
That's awesome.
Sponsored by a kilt company.
Nice.
Yeah. Metal AF jewelry company, and they handle kilts and everything else. They sponsor him for that kilt. Yeah.
That is so cool. But to get to your question, I think honestly, Central Pennsylvania is such a melting pot when it comes to music because you can go into a venue and you can play everything and everybody listens to it.
Right.
So
yeah,
and like the song selection I have, it's stuff that people like listen to. So even if they don't listen to like one genre, like last week, it's funny. I actually played Flinchy's 2 weeks in a row because 2 weeks in a year apart. Funny enough, but
2 weeks, like 1 year apart entirely.
Yeah, because it was 2024, and then I played again in 2025.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah. I was like, shit, I thought you started in September or April.
Nope. Okay. 3 off there.
All right.
But when I played December 27th, I actually had a guy that came out and said, you know what, I don't really listen to a lot of country, but I liked the way you played it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was like, that is a hell of a compliment. Thank you so much.
That's a huge compliment.
Oh yeah.
That's probably one of the bigger ones.
Yeah.
If you can take a genre or a song that somebody doesn't normally like, and then they come up and they're like,
I actually enjoyed that. Thanks.
Yeah.
You know,
Thank you.
That's awesome. That's
awesome.
That made me feel so good too. Yeah.
It's funny how it's never, and no, people who don't play will probably never understand this.
Mm-hmm.
It's never the person that walks up and says, "Oh my God, you're incredible."
Yeah.
That is a lasting thing for
It's
musicians.
the stories that you get.
You got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's the I talk about this all the time, but there was a lady that was like just lost her mom, and I played this song, Patsy Cline song, for her.
Okay.
And she was like, I remember my mom like cooking in the kitchen and dancing around to this song, like thank you. Like she was crying while I was playing. And like that meant so much more, because, and this is no offense to anybody whoever says we're incredible, but when somebody comes up and says that I'm incredible, I'm like, I hate myself most of the time. Like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
No, like we aren't incredible.
Right.
Yeah. But like,
Maybe on the outside.
Yes. Yeah. I'm glad I portray that.
Right.
But like, it's the people that come up and, like you just said, the people that come up and they're like, I love when you do this song.
Mm-hmm.
I used to get offended when people would be like, I love your take on this song. I used to get offended because I'd be like, what do you mean? Like, what, I'm not playing it right or something like that? And then I'm like, no. They mean like you're personalizing that, because they could hear any of the songs that we play for the most part. They could listen to in the car in perfectly executed, perfectly recorded. They're not coming out to hear that. They're coming out because it's like an experience.
Right.
And they want you to put your own flavor on that song.
Yep.
Make it yours.
Yep.
And I like what you said earlier too about how, you try to find your way to kind of play these songs that people aren't used to hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think that's the difference between like the guy that's just kind of strumming a guitar and singing some songs, and the guy that's like, I'm out here, I'm like an entertainer. Right. Because there's a difference between those two, I think.
And that's been an area of growth for me, especially the last couple of months, is like when I used to like just sing on the radio, like driving down the road, it's like I would mimic what's on the radio or I hear. And like, yeah, I started doing that when I was originally playing. I was trying to like mimic the song and everything. But then, I'm starting to slowly get away from that and starting to try to like put my own takes on certain songs to kind of make them, to tailor them, make them mine, put spins on them, whatnot.
Right.
So just to get away from that, okay, you sound just like this dude, but no.
Yeah.
Sound like yourself. Don't try to, don't try to mimic it. So
that's solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's only one case where you should sound like the record. And that is on songs that are sing-alongs.
Yes.
If it's Country Roads or if it's Sweet Caroline, don't put too much
Nope.
creative flavor
you
on
don't
that.
spin those.
Yeah. If you spin that too much, people are gonna be like, "What the?
Yeah.
What is this? Green Day does Neil Diamond? Like, what is happening right now? I don't like this at all."
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I still make gigantic mistakes because I take a lot of chances.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be up there and I'll be like, oh, I want to do this Tool song, or like last night I did Metallica, or any of those, and I'm like, I'm gonna try, and sometimes it is a stinker of a bomb, and I've had to learn to like move on, right? Like one of the biggest things that biggest pieces of advice is whatever the hell that word was I just used. One of the biggest pieces of advice that I ever got was a guy telling me, he's like, it doesn't matter how well you execute it for the most part. It's how confident you look doing it.
Yeah.
Like if you look like you're not having a good time, people won't have a good time, right?
Right.
So you got to be like, even if the world is burning, like all around you, you have to like hold your composure and just kind of if it's a real bad blunder, make a joke out of it, but otherwise don't even acknowledge, because most of the time, like we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast, nobody notices it besides you.
Right.
Yeah, you're going to notice every mistake.
Mentally, you're going, oh my God, I did this, and everybody else is like, no, you're fine. I was like, all right, thanks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If you say so.
Yeah. No, that's great. I know. I don't know. How do you handle, so people come up to you after the show and they want to give you like accolades, right? Mm-hmm. I like asking this question to a lot of people because I know at the beginning, I was not even at the beginning, even as recent as 2 years ago, if people would be like, hey, you're awesome. Like, thank you. And I'd be like, I'm not good, or I'm not that great, or I was sick tonight, or I'd say something stupid and not just be like, thank you. Right. Yeah. So like whenever people come up, do you, like, is that an uncomfortable space for you at all? Like getting that kind of accolade or?
It used to be. Yeah. I'm getting more comfortable with, engaging with people. In the beginning, it's like, oh, you were awesome. You're like, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you can go away now.
Yeah. We're done.
Yeah, we're done. Bye.
We're done. Yeah.
But no, I'm trying to, branch out from that and engage more with, hey, thanks. What's your name? Try to engage a little bit of conversation just to not feel like I'm a complete ice wall, so warm up a little bit.
Right.
I mean, it's I get it. People are appreciative that, you came out, you did a good job.
Right.
It's like, well, thank you. It means a lot to me too.
It does. Yeah.
It's better than people are going to be like, hey, you sucked. And it's like, oh, thanks.
Yeah. I was so worried that people were going to tell me I sucked when I started, right? And then I mean, all these years into it, I'm like, I've only ever had one person tell me that I suck. And, well, two, if you count me. But, like, there was one other person, and he was, like, a fellow musician that was a little angry, like maybe a little bitter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was it. That's the only, no fan, like, no supporter, no follower, no person at a bar. That most of the time, if somebody thinks you suck, they're just going to leave.
Right.
They're not held there against their will.
You didn't buy a ticket.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, you have nothing to lose by getting out there and playing.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's great, man. I want to talk to you about you specifically instead of the starter kit of how to become a solo musician.
Right. Take notes, kids.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Somebody's going to watch this back, hopefully.
Right.
So what are some of your favorite songs to play, man? Like, do you have some, like, favorite jams that you like to kind of go to? Or?
Yeah, I do. Mary Jane's Last Dance.
Oh, nice. And
Tom
Petty.
Yeah. That's one of my favorites to play. I also like to play Wagon Wheel.
Okay.
That's another good one.
That's a good sing-along.
Right.
Yeah.
I recently learned how to play Oklahoma Smoke Show.
Okay.
But I turned it into Pennsylvania Smoke Show.
Nice.
So put a little spin on that one. That's another fun one that I like to play.
Is that Zach Bryan?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. My friend Jessica, she asked me to play that, and I was like, I don't know how to play it, but I made that mental note, and I went back and I learned how to play it, and now it's like one of my favorite songs to play.
That's awesome.
I also like to play Something in the Orange from him too.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's another one. But I've got a lot of Tipsy. It's another one.
Oh yeah.
That just gets the crowd up, and they're like, slinging drinks and stuff. So
it does.
Yeah,
it does.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got a good handful of songs that it's just like, I just enjoy playing this song.
Right.
So
how do you so at Flinchies, your Evolve, how does that handle that echo chamber of a room? It's pretty good.
It does really well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like when I set up my speaker and everything, I'll put it up in front of me a little bit, and I'll kind of stand back a little bit more because of the range of where the sound goes.
Like a spread.
Yeah. So I'm kind of behind the spread a little bit, so it doesn't affect like the guitar or the mic or anything like that, and I can turn the volume up if I have to. So
I gotcha.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, like with playing venues and stuff, I know some places have where you can just like plug into their speaker system.
Oh yeah.
And play. I don't do it.
No.
No.
Yeah. Well, you have a great speaker.
I know my rig. I know how it's set up. I know, where to adjust everything, where that's a completely new animal. And it's like, I know what I'm comfortable with,
Right.
So.
Yeah. There's a lot of places in Maryland that I play and a bunch that I used to play that you literally, they were like, you can't bring any speakers in here. And I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, you're plugging directly into the wall.
Oh.
And I'm like,
okay.
So most of the time they would have a mixer, right? And I'd fine tune everything on the mixer. But then I'm like, to be able to hear me, that's when I was wearing in-ears all the time.
Right.
Because I'm like, that's the only way I can hear me. But it was very, I wore in-ears for a long time. And then I realized, like, for the last 6-7 months, I haven't been wearing them at all. You lose so much connection with the crowd when it's just you. Yep. When it's just you in your head. Like, I couldn't hear when people were requesting things. Like, it destroyed. It was like a multi-year experiment that I didn't realize had already failed. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, no, at some point this is going to make sense. It didn't. Right. It was the whole time I was just kind of really disconnected. And now I love, feeding off the energy of the crowd it's the thing, right? It's
that's
why
what we all strive
it.
For. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's incredible, man. So I'm trying to think if there's anything I haven't covered with you in my laundry list of stuff. Is there anything you wanted to talk about today?
I didn't really. Yeah.
He's like, I didn't plan on anything. You're supposed to be interviewing me.
Did I pass? Yeah. Am I hired?
No. Yeah. No, man. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Yeah. No
and hanging out, man. What's in the future for you? What are you looking to do in 2025?
2025. I'm just looking to continue rocking out and playing different places and just kind of getting out there and getting better known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like that's very attainable stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, listen, man, how can everybody find you online and kind of connect with you and find out more about you?
You can find me on Facebook. Erick Moyer Music is my fan page. You can search me. Erick Moyer obviously is my personal page as well on Facebook. I also have Instagram. I don't do too much on there because I'm pretty much on Facebook 99% of the time.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Yep.
Any TikToks or anything like that?
Haven't delved into TikTok yet.
It's gonna get banned anyway.
I know, right? It's about to go away. I do have a YouTube page, but I only have like one music video on it. It's also Erick Moyer Music on YouTube. So gotcha. I do want to. That's another thing I do want to do more like at home recordings and stuff, so that I can post more music on both sites.
Absolutely.
So
awesome. Well, thanks for doing the podcast today, man.
Thanks for having me. This was awesome.
Yeah.
I had a blast.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Everybody go check out Erick Moyer on all the things. And I will see you on Thursday for the Thursday Thoughts episode. So have a great week.
Thank you for tuning in today. Your support keeps the music flowing. Every note and what I play means the world just to hear you know it. We'll see you next time. Don't stray by. Your love is our shining star.